Welcome back to another episode of Sisters Talk, a Patreon-only series. So in this series, you guys submit the topics and you guys submit the questions, which is kind of cool. It's like you guys are almost interviewing, you're part of the process. So today's topic is losing someone. And really quick, I want to make the differentiation that I made when I posted this topic. This is a broad topic. It doesn't necessarily mean losing someone physically as if someone passed away. It also can just be like losing someone, like losing a friend or going through a breakup, like just the loss of someone important in your life, and kind of our take on that based on our experiences. So let's jump in. Our first question is from Ray Ray, and they said, how do you get by on days it hits you the most when you lose someone you love?
I feel like the first thing that I do is realize that this is a really hard day and kind of like accept that and give myself permission to not like be operating at my highest level on that day. Like, okay, I am having a hard day, so I'm not going to expect so much from myself, and I'm going to let myself feel these emotions rather than being like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or like, I don't want to feel this way, I'm going to skip that.
Yeah, I'm just like, I basically have the same exact thought as Lauren, which I don't know if you have anything to add, but like, just feel your feelings and don't try to like stop them from coming. I mean, obviously if like you're doing a presentation for work or something, or you're like, not the best, but like, I remember I went through this breakup and it was like a 6-month grieving process, and I would just like cry all the time, and I just kept thinking like, oh, is this like, am I just like prolonging it? But there is a certain point, I truly have this belief that with feelings, it's like a cup of water, and every time you like pour it out a little bit more, it just slowly like helps you feel less heavy. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, I feel like we have this feeling because feelings can feel very out of control. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm just gonna be, if I keep being sad, I'm just gonna be sad forever. And it's like, well, in my experience, if you truly feel it, you'll actually move on closer to like being like more peaceful. Yeah. So feel your feelings and don't be afraid, even though it is painful, because the more intensely you feel it, the faster you'll move on.
Yeah, even on like a busy day, I'm like, all right, well, I am just gonna cry in the car right now. Yeah. And then wipe my tears and get back to it, but like I'm not gonna pretend like nothing's happening because it makes it worse for me.
Yeah. You just have to take it slowly, minute by minute. Give yourself grace. Some self-compassion. That's what you have to really use to get through these times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is from Amy, but not Amy, our sister.
Hi.
Amy from Patreon. My best friend / sister of 16 years changed so suddenly, and we don't really talk anymore. Do you have any tips for coping? Wait, did I say that one already? No. When you just miss someone a lot?
No, you didn't.
Oh, never mind. Okay, sorry. I think I like said it in my head. Okay. Do you have any tips for coping when you just miss someone a lot?
Oof, that's hard.
My coping is I put on my Miss You playlist, which is just all songs about missing someone, and I just cry until there's nothing else to cry about. That's my only coping, listening to music and crying.
Yeah, that's one of the more horrifying situations because you expect a friendship to last forever, especially when it's so like
16
close.
Years, that's a long time.
It's a long time. Ooh. And when it disappears like that, it can feel like a death. Like, it's so tragic and very traumatic to go through. So you have to give yourself, once again, a lot of grace. I mean, I've gone through that situation a lot, and it's really hard, especially when things aren't resolved in a good way, or the person's just so different. You just kind of have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, but it's going to be okay. And you just have to go through it. Because, like, my tendency is to pretend like I don't know. It's like to pretend like nothing happened, or like just make myself very busy and distracted so I don't know.
It's relatable.
And then I figure out 6 months later, oh, I'm really sad about this. So maybe don't wait 6 months to figure it out.
I can relate a lot to this question because this happened to me. I had a friend that I met when I was like 4, and she just randomly stopped talking to me when we were like 23. And I genuinely thought we had been friends that long that we were going to be in each other's lives forever. I just could never picture her not being in my life. And then she just kind of stopped, and I would reach out and she wouldn't really respond to this day, I don't really know what happened. We never got in a fight. Nothing happened. But I had also heard from other friends that she had done the same thing to them. But I just remember thinking like, oh, that would never happen to us because we've known each other for so long. And it's still sad to this day when I see like a picture of her online or something. But I kind of have this belief that, not that you, like, if something's happening where you're like, no, this wasn't right, let me like try to resolve the situation. But if you've done everything you can and there's no resolve happening, my belief is that if it's not meant to be in your life, it's just not going to be in your life. And it is really sad and it hurts a lot when you miss them. But at the same time, there's other things in your life that will come, and life just kind of ebbs and flows. And it's like the more you try to control that current, the harder it is. Like just thinking like, oh, this shouldn't have happened. Like that part of the grief is so painful, and it's very valid to feel that way. I feel that too. But the sooner that I was just like, you know what, it happened, and kind of accepted it and just kind of let the current of grief carry me, then I was able to appreciate the other friends that did stay in my life and that were making the effort and were showing up for me. And like there's always good things to appreciate even when you are hurting of something else. Doesn't take the pain away, but like, I don't know. I think acceptance is also like really important when you can get to that place.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it normal for the feelings of grief to hit at a random time months later? And how do you deal with those waves? From Millie.
Yes.
It's definitely normal.
I would say, again, it's like, I try not to judge that. Of like, because sometimes it can feel like, oh, like I thought I was moved on from this relationship, but now, like, here I am feeling sad 6 months later, like, oh, I guess maybe I haven't moved on. But, like, it's okay. And, like, just like letting myself feel that feeling and not, like, judging myself for it. Not like, oh, this is something wrong. It's like, this is just where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Not judging yourself for it. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you just kind of have to say, like, when it comes and it hits you, you have to be like, oh my gosh, this is hurtful, this sucks, this is not fair, this is not right. And you just have to deal with it as it comes and just keep dealing with it as it comes, because that's the only kind of way you're going to make it through it.
Yeah, for me, this happens the most with my grandma, who died in 2016. I think she's probably the person that I was the closest to and that I literally grew up my whole life with and then lost. It was such a weird feeling to like not like ever see her again. And there'll just be random things that will remind me of her, and I'm like, Grandma, I'll just like cry because I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss her. Like, I'll never get to like talk to her again or like have her cooking. She was an amazing cook, or like her baking. And then like just the way that she made holidays special. There's certain things that I like really, really miss about her that I know we'll never get to experience again. But at the same time, I think it's kind of like carrying on her legacy. So like I'm trying to live in a way that like she would be proud of, and like do some of the things that she did that I know that she cared so much about. Like she was so good about making holidays and about like family birthdays and stuff like really special. So like I try to do that in the best way that I can and like celebrate those moments throughout the year, because I don't know, I feel like she did that and it created such amazing memories for me as a kid. Like every Memorial Day, just like Memorial Day is like kind of a random, I mean, it is like an important holiday, but like a lot of people don't really celebrate it. It's just like, oh, they get the day off of work. But like my grandma was very patriotic, and she would like make homemade lemonade. She would make homemade ice cream, and we'd all go to her house and like sit outside on her front porch and like hang out. And like it's a simple thing, but it's such an amazing memory. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like I deal with the waves of grief by trying to like honor her, while, you know, knowing that I'm never going to have her again, but I'm like keeping her with me in a certain way by like staying connected with those things.
Yeah.
She was an icon, Grandma. Okay, so let's see. Miranda said, I've been hurt so many times by people leaving, and now I'm afraid of letting people in my life. Any tips on how to help get that feeling out? Oof.
You have to really
What
face it
feeling?
head on. Like when you're scared of letting
like
people in.
The feeling of being afraid to let anyone else in because you've been left so many times.
I get it, girl. I really get it. I have been in that situation many times. I feel like I gravitate towards a lot of people that are like runners, basically, or disappearing artists, and I kind of am in a different way. So I've had that experience with almost every best friend I've ever had where they just suddenly are gone and you're like, what? But you have to realize, like, it's scary and we do lose people. That's something that's not preventable at all. Like, you're going to lose people and it's scary, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't let them in. And being scared is something that you are always going to feel, because letting people in is always scary. It doesn't change. You just have to call upon your courage and be like, okay, I can let this person in. I can do this.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of got to this place like a few years ago. I felt like I just get rejected by everyone, or I think something's going to work out like with a guy, and then it's like, oh, it didn't work out. And it's just like, I just felt like it's never going to work. I'm never going to find someone good. Like, this isn't really worth it. And it's so painful every time, like getting your hopes up and then being disappointed. But I kind of just got to a place though where I was like, if I want like to have a family one day, I want to be married, I want to have a long-term relationship, this is something that I'm just gonna have to deal with. I'm gonna have to deal with the possibility of things ending, of people leaving, of rejection, all of this. And I just kind of like, I was like, what matters more to me? The pain of this or the possible reward? And I kind of just found like, this is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have a different take on this. I think I interpreted the question a little bit differently, but like maybe this will be helpful for someone. I relate to this a lot because I had a lot of friendships, especially when I was in my teens to early 20s, that were very painful, and I ended up having to end the friendship because it was very traumatic, or there was something really bad about it. And I think if you're kind of caught in this cycle where you feel like people keep leaving you and people keep letting you down, sometimes you have to ask yourself like, okay, why am I drawn to this type of person over and over again? What is it about them that it keeps bringing me in? And like, you have to kind of take a step back and pause and really reflect with yourself. Like, and honestly, even with a counselor, like I've really, gone through this with my counselors in therapy. Like, what does it look like to have a safe person in your life versus an unsafe person that probably will leave you or just like really hurt you a lot? And start to notice the signs. Notice how it feels when you're around them. Notice how it feels when you're around people that are more safe. And then you can kind of, not saying that you're always going to get perfect because you'll still get hurt, but like you can consciously start to choose more friends that, and people in your life that like, it goes with dating, it goes with friendship, that like are more likely going to stay. Not always.
It's like noticing those red flags that maybe you weren't realizing before, and you're like, oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah, and there could be a belief in you that's like, people always leave me, and then you always are drawn to people that are going to leave you. So you have to ask yourself like, okay, why do I have this belief? Oh, my dad left me when I was a kid. That makes sense. Or something, something along those lines. And then it's like, okay, so how am I going to overcome this to like start a new pattern in my life?
Yeah.
All right, so there's one last one. This is from Sarah. This is taking a different topic. This is more like you lost someone physically, like lost a loved one. I look back at the lives of loved ones I've lost, and I feel like I should have spent more time with them. Any advice on overcoming that sense of regret/guilt?
I think you have to say, like, I did the best that I could with the information that I had in the moment. And it doesn't mean that you did the best that could have ever been done. It doesn't mean you couldn't have spent more time with them, but you have to be like, this is what happened and I did my best. And it's okay to kind of regret those lost moments, but also you have to give yourself grace. Once again, I think a lot of this whole journey in grief is grace and self-compassion. And in that situation, you have to be like, I did the best that I could, and then use that to inform how you treat your other relationships in your life. Like, take the good out of it and be like, okay, if I didn't spend enough time with this person, I don't want that to happen with this other person, so I'm going to try to spend more time with them.
Also, I feel like it's helpful to reframe it from like, I should have spent more time with them, to I wish I could have spent more time with them. Because then that takes it from like a blame thing on yourself, like you should have done this. Because the fact is, like, what happened, and you can't change it. So saying I should have done this, I should have done that. It's just like, it's just mental torture, but you still feel that regret. But I think trying to look at it more of like, I wish I could have spent more time, and just feeling that sadness of the loss will help you kind of move through that feeling more than like getting down on yourself for that.
Well, that is all we have for today, and hopefully that was helpful for you guys. You enjoyed that topic. I know it's kind of a hard topic to talk about, but if you lost someone, you're not alone. We know how you feel. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Sisters Talk.
Bye.
Bye.